Good morning. Welcome to the Fear to Love to Grace Summit. I'm Dr. Patti Ashley, psychotherapist and author and trainer here in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Dr. Patty Luckenbach. She is an author, a spiritual counselor, guide, grief counselor, and minister at Mile High Church. Welcome, Patty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Patty.
Oh, I'm so happy to chat with you today. So I have a few questions for you. You're a woman of remarkable depth and spirit, and the author of 3 books, 2 on grief and 1 on Native American spirituality. Your latest book,
Right.
It Only Rains. You can only walk on, what's it say?
You only walk on water when it rains.
Yeah, I loved this book. It was great. Can you tell us a little bit about what called you to study, teach, and write about grief and Native American spirituality?
Sure. Going back to the grief piece, years ago, when I finally had the opportunity to be able to openly share my grief that I had held on my father's passing so many years ago, when I was 11 years old, he died suddenly. And I kind of packed that in for many years. And in graduate school, I was graced with a beautiful teacher. And it was a journaling class. And I thought, oh, I don't want to journal. But we did, and she read everything. She was a blessed teacher with heart. Mm. And from that class, I began to write about my feelings and about grief. And I also was studying to become a grief counselor and studying thanatology about death and all. And so that's where the land of tears is a secret place came from. It was my writing about the 5 steps of mourning. And it's a journal workbook. And it's been published 3 times now and shared it all around the world. And I'm very grateful that...
I have a picture of it here.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's a great workbook.
Yeah.
Because I think.
And it has helped a lot of people around the world. So grateful for that. And then my other book, The Kingdom of Heart, is very similar as far as journaling, the wisdom of journaling, and also working with the grief with our animals, because I have found that I need to have some of my very best grief counselors. I have a bereavement team that I train, work with people who have lost animals, because the animal, I'm not trying to compare it with a human, but I'm just saying animals are pretty unconditional and they're pure love. Mm-hmm. And it brings up so much grief that people have never dealt with when they lose their pet. And then just working with grief every day. It's an amazing journey. I'm not very popular at cocktail parties because people ask me what I do, but it's a gift. It's a gift to be able to walk by someone's side. Yeah. I'm not there to fix them. I'm only there in presence.
I think that's
yeah, go ahead.
So important, the idea of not trying to fix it. I think that's what I've learned in my journey too, is we can't fix it. We can help people go through it. And that's the hard part, because our culture doesn't really necessarily support that. So I noticed that or I recently learned that you lost your father, you just said at age 11, which was the same age as me.
You're right.
And it certainly has impacted my life and made me not so fun at parties either. I remember back when I was a kid thinking, why are my peers having so much fun when this really horrible thing happened and I couldn't make sense of the world at such a young age. So I'm sure we all have different experiences, but I'm just curious, mm-hmm. knowing that you and I share that. And that's the beginning of my book, From Letters to Freedom, From Fear to Love to Grace, mm-hmm. is talking about that. So is there more you could share with us about that, how that impacted you? That's a big question.
Yeah. I just, this past weekend, hosted a group here at Mile High Church called Navigating the Holidays. This has to do with maybe the reason I do grief work, because it was right before, 2 days after my birthday, or before my birthday, right before Christmas. So I just hosted a group called Navigating the Holidays, and we had 55 grieving people show up to try and give them some tools. They developed their own tools to be able to get through the holidays. So I spoke about my father in that Navigating the Holidays, mainly as a teaching tool. And when I say mainly, I sense that my father his passing has been the greatest gift to me. It's taken me a while to be able to synthesize that. But as a child, and probably you too, Patty, I had an inquiry about death, like, where is he? What's going on? Is he still real? Does he still love me? All these questions would come up. So I think I dove in personally to try and investigate immortality. And then when I had the opportunity, probably some 28 years ago, to work with terminally ill children, that was my first portal with grief work. I found those teachers, the children were my teachers, and many different avenues to the grief piece. But it's always kind of been that first loss. I've had many since then. But that first loss dove me right into the middle of the heart of grief. So I give thanks to my dad.
Yeah.
And I know he's with me, he watches over me. But if it hadn't have been for that, I probably would not have been able to be present with people.
Yeah, I see my father's death as a gift as well now. And my journey was very similar too. What's God? Why is my father in heaven? And why can't I go there? And all those questions at a really young age.
Yeah.
So, and he definitely is with me, and he's here now with us, and supporting the work that both you and I do. So it's such a gift that you're able to help people through such an arduous journey. Grief it's a hard taskmaster, I have to say, right?
It is a hard taskmaster.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers, Dr. Alan Warfelt, he is such a character and such a good teacher for so many people. He always states that you need to say hello to your grief before you can ever say goodbye. And a lot of people just kind of set it aside and, well, I just have to carry on. But it's important to find a group of people where you feel safe and you don't compare losses. You just get to be real in that group and to share what went on. Just giving it that attention helps move it and place it in a place within our psychic, so to speak, where it can be helpful. It can add to the banks of great compassion.
Yeah, I love that. Say hello to grief. Yeah, I found in this round of grief, losing Lawrence 3 years ago, I wanted to be really aware of being able to give myself permission to grieve, because I was talked out of it earlier on and through many other losses in my life. People just want you to get over it. They want you to feel better. And I know they mean well, but I was very aware of my process and also noticing my own internal process of, okay, am I done yet? Am I done yet? Am I done yet? And it's so still in that dance of what got set up early on. So I love that. Say hello to grief, because, it's such.
That's Dr. Alan Warfelt's famous quote. You have to say hello before you can say goodbye. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And
I think people in our society, they don't know how to work with pain, and they want us to be better immediately, so they don't have to deal with we're sad.
Yeah. And what I'm learning now about mirror neurons, how we really, when we're in connection with another person, we actually feel what they're feeling. And so that was informative for me too in this round of grief, going, oh, well, I guess, one, my friends probably don't want to feel that. They want to try and fix it. And two, I don't want my friends to feel that either, which is why I started writing stories at night, because I thought this is, and so to have a grief group and have supportive witnesses is so important, right? And
it is.
And finding the safe places for that, those conversations.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that you're able to be part of the memorial service for Lawrence, which will be almost 3 years in November. It was actually, the memorial service was the same date as our first date, which had happened 2 years prior to the service. And I think I made a comment in the eulogy saying, when Patty told me that was the only date available, I thought, well, I like to think, and you can speak to this too, as the science of mind and spiritual counselor, feeling those little synchronicities and little things kind of brings me comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not it's true, it works for me. So I don't know. What's your experience of feeling our loved ones after they pass?
Oh, I just finished doing a whole series on Mike Dooley's book, The 10 Things That Dead People Want to Tell You. And it was a great series. And we brought a lot of humor to it because there's all kinds of tales. Like, we'd have to have a couple hours for me to begin to go into feeling the presence. We live in a big universe, and there's many, many dimensions to who we are. And I once had a great teacher, Dr. H. Fred Vogt, say to me after he had had a near-death experience. He came back from that and he said, "Hey, kid, know that the other side is real close, real close." And that was his comment. And so I have just observed throughout the years and doing so many people's memorials and funerals, I just observe things. And I do sense our loved ones are close by. And that many times can blow the concept of a lot of religious concepts about heaven and hell and all that. But I believe that we live in a harmonic universe, in spite of the conditions of us humans at times acting out. And so I think they're close.
Yeah, and dreams too.
Oh yeah, dreams.
I love when he shows up in my dreams. And my father showed up in my dreams a lot when I was a kid. Did you have that experience too?
I had that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father would come to me in a dream, and I'd be in the schoolyard, and the teacher would point out, "Oh, there's your father," and I'd go over to the chain link fence, and that was between us, which is very symbolic that he was in another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And he would ask how I was doing.
Oh.
And then one day in my awakened state, I was remembering all that, and I shouted out, "I'm doing okay." And that dream never came to me again.
Oh, yeah. See, to me, that, my belief is that that's what they want to know. They want to know we're okay. And once we declare I'm okay, then that helps them too, right? I mean,
Right.
Who knows if any of that's true, but that's my philosophy.
Right.
So,
So there's many stories.
Yeah, right. I know. And it comforts me in a way that if it was just final and over, I don't know. I don't think any of us know it's a mystery, right? It's just we do what helps, for me, hold the paradox of grief and praise, being with Lawrence in spirit, and also moving through the process of the pain, being human.
Right.
Always both and, right?
Right. Well, grief is emotional pain, and we grieve because we have loved so much. I believe, my personal belief is that the entire universe is composed of a harmonic love. So love is forever. So the form changes, but the essence of love is always present.
Yeah.
It's been my experience.
Yeah, harmonic love. I love that idea of, it's all love. And when we step more fully into love, the forms might change, but they don't go away.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your Native American spirituality, because I know I was so honored that you were able to take Lawrence's pipe he had carved out of wood on his own. Was a very special sacred pipe for him, and part of the Native American to honor that is the process of burying it. And I can't, obviously you can tell I can't even language it, so I'm going to turn it over to you to just share with us about what that meant to you and to Lawrence, because you can do it better than I can, but I know he really had a lot of, he was very connected to particularly the Lakota, correct?
Correct.
So I know that's a big, wide open-ended question
Yeah.
that I'm hoping you can.
Well, I've been gifted to be a part of the Lakota Sioux Rosebud Reservation for close to 29 years now. And having been in ceremonies called the Hunka ceremony to make relationships, to have been adopted by two families. And it's been a ride, it's been a gift, and it continues to be. It's a part of my heart. And so the sacred pipe, known as a chanupa, is just that. It's a sacred prayer pipe. And just a little bit of education on it quickly is the bowl is made from Catlin stone, red stone, representing the blood of Grandmother Earth, and the pipe out of wood. You put the bowl, which the tobacco goes into, tobacco representing just the plant world. We never smoke anything in there that is hallucinatory. It's just always natural tobacco. And put those two together, it represents bringing the masculine and the feminine together.
Mm.
And it's a powerful way to pray because it has always slowed me down. Because you move into ritual, into a ceremony to be able to pray. It's a very powerful way to pray. So I was very honored when you all asked me to gave to me Lawrence's pipe, because I know Lawrence. I've been in pipe ceremonies with Lawrence before, that it meant everything to him. And it was given to him. Usually you make your own pipe or it's given. Not very often do people go buy pipes. It's a sacred gift, and it was sacred to him.
Yeah, he made it. I
gave
was
it to
so
him.
impressed that he had carved that out of wood on his own, and it took him a long time. And he shared the process of, trying to get it just right, and it was beautiful.
It's a part of a prayer, carving that.
Mm-hmm.
So you put your heart and soul into that. So when after his passing from here, when the pipe was handed to me as a pipe, we don't really, the white people call us pipe carriers, but we actually walk with the pipe. And so when the pipe was presented to me, Lawrence's pipe, I presented it to Chief Whitehead. And he prayed with it and prayed with me and instructed me that it needed to be buried. One of my beloved relationships in my life also was I walked with the pipe. And when he left this world, I had to bury his pipe too. So we chose South Dakota because that's where I presented it to the elder. And that's really holy ground up there. I know Lawrence resonated with that. And so it was given back to Grandmother Earth. The stone was given back to the earth, the wood of the pipe given back to the earth. And so that was the ceremony that we went through, and we did it before a powerful sun dance. So where that is placed in the earth, please know that the vibration of the drums of the sun dance, that pipe will always hear it. Always hear that. So it was an honor to do that, and to, I trusted what the elders told me, what they had told me years ago about my other friend's pipe.
And these rituals we have as humans, I think are so important because of when I just listening to you talk, I'm getting a little teary-eyed because I know how much that pipe meant to Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I know how much you meant to Lawrence, and I know how much the Lakota people have informed both of your lives. And to be able to honor that in such a way is such a gift. And, I can feel it in my bones now as we're talking. So
yeah, and know too that just a little bit about South Dakota. It's such a beautiful land, and I know that Lawrence was so involved with his friend Ed, and Ed was such an incredible writer and writing all the books about Crazy Horse and all. I just love that so much. And where the land where that pipe is buried, Crazy Horse would have walked that land. That was his home.
Yeah, and Lawrence and I had a chance to go up there with him, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. And we went to the Crazy Horse Memorial, and yeah, I mean, you wrote the foreword for the book that his friend Ed wrote about Crazy Horse, and we're still trying to find a publisher for that and get
I know
rights to publish it, because it was an incredible book about Crazy Horse. Who
it's a great manuscript.
Yeah, and Crazy Horse, maybe just briefly, you know, I see him as a spiritual teacher. Was incredible. He just wanted so much of this peace on earth, and he was killed. And I don't know, is there a brief way you can let our readers know Crazy Horse?
Yeah, I'll say this about Crazy Horse out of respect to him.
Yeah.
What I have learned from what has been published from the Calvary's journals, the different Calvary men wrote in journals, and they would say, and this came from different units, so it was an observation they had, that Crazy Horse was very young when he went to stand for his people and what he believed. And they said that they would see him on the crest of a hill, and he would have, the Calvary wrote, he would have a wand in his hand, and he would hold the wand up high. This brings up tears for me. He'd hold the wand up high before he would charge all by himself into the white man. And this is just my sense, but I sense that that wand was his prayer pipe, because I know how much the prayer pipe means to all the Native American people, not just the Lakota Sioux. So Crazy Horse came from a very spiritual family, and he's just being placed in a position to try and stand for his beliefs. And so I sense the wand was his pipe.
Oh, yeah. A pipe similar to what you described Lawrence did. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Would have been something the Crazy Horse made.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I think that the subtitle of the book, From Fear to Love to Grace, the book's Letters of Freedom from Fear to Love to Grace, is my memoir.
Right. It's a great book.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the endorsement. And again, I was really touched by our similar stories as I got to know you better. So Lawrence was working on a curriculum called From Fear to Love to Grace, thus the subtitle of the book, plus relating to the different chapters of my life. Because he found he had lost his wife a few years prior to him and I moving into a relationship. I had known Lawrence for a long time prior to that. But he described a heart opening in his experience of losing his beloved wife. And he started writing about that and bringing it into the addiction field and psychotherapy. He wanted to bring more heart. He was a man of tremendous heart. And I remember he, at his open house before we started dating, he sat down and he said, there's just something happening in my heart. I can't explain it, but it just feels like it's cracked open. And then as we moved into more being in more relationship together, you know, he shared with me how this experience of loving his wife after she passed broke his heart open into what he felt was a sense of grace. Grace to me is a word that I think is hard to define and somewhat, you know, different based on people's different religious beliefs and that sort of thing. I'm curious how you might define grace.
I define grace as clarity, and that goes back to a translation from the Greek. Grace is clarity, and I sense it is a place of spiritual clarity. And with our hearts breaking wide open, I often say to people that grief, emotional pain, especially after the loss of a loved one, is probably the greatest transformation anyone can ever go through. And we do go through it. Some people hang on to it, but one way or the other, we go through it because it'll push us through it. It'll roll us through it. We go through it. and we come into a place of greater clarity about who we are, who life is, maybe who the deceased was. But I feel that it's a hard taskmaster, as you said, Patty, and it's one of the greatest. You wouldn't want to buy a seminar of that type of transformation. It's kind of a natural transformation that takes place when you're trying to figure it all out. So I'm sure his heart was open to that place of clarity, to see things maybe differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. So the clarity around what? Like, or clarity, or maybe all of the above, but I'm thinking spirituality, love,
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, I think everything in the above and the below and the sideways and every aspect, clarity of life.
Yeah.
I think many times people going through this process even question God. They question their beliefs. They question many things because everything like has totally exploded, and they're trying to put everything back together. So it depends on the dynamic of the person, but yeah, it's looking at things differently.
Yeah, I think it's a transformation. It's everything is turned upside down, and we do question everything, and that experience of how do you put the pieces back together, and the process. People want to know, how long does it take, right? We're all in this linear mindset of tell me how long. I always use the story of when I broke my elbow and I could go to the doctor and he could give me an x-ray and say, well, in 1 month it'll be here, in 2 months it'll be here, in 3 months it'll be here. But in our emotional pain, we don't have an x-ray that can tell us that. But that's what people want, right? They want to know, what's the marker. And so to be able to, to step into the unknown and the mystery as transformation is really hard for people. How do you help people go through that?
Well, it's important that people, can find a safe place, maybe a safe person to be able to be real and talk about what they're feeling, and be able to express those feelings. I like to refer to that as tell their love stories. And you've done a nice job of that, Patty, in your book. And to be able to be with other people who have lost, excuse me. And I've always worked with grief recovery work in groups where it isn't just segregated people who have lost through suicide or loss of a child, but we all come together. But we come together with no comparisons, because we learn from each other as we share, and we learn to have greater compassion upon ourselves. So I feel very strongly one-on-one counseling is a good thing, but I love group work. The group work is just that. The group works on each other in a way that gives to us a new identity that still includes the deceased, but in a whole different way that's not sharp with the pain.
And can people find that on your website, the groups that you're doing?
They can find it on the Mile High Church website.
Mile High Church website, okay. We'll put that in the summit information. Okay. Is there anything else that resources or opportunities that you have to offer that you want to share? Check into?
I think not right now. The work I do currently is through Mile High Church. We're in the process at Mile High, and I personally will be putting this on my own website, but it's not there right now. Working with a blog where we could blog back and forth talking. We once had that, and it was effective.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah. People can do it from their home and share stories.
It's not quite in place yet, but it will be in the future.
Well, this won't air until February, so maybe by February we'll have it up and we'll have that on the information for people to find.
Yeah, I think people, if they write out what they're feeling, that can help. They
Mhm.
can write a letter to the deceased. They can be really still and allow the deceased to write a letter to them. That's always amazing.
I love that, right?
Hmm.
And people say, oh, well, how do I know that it's really them? And I always say, does it matter? I mean, it's your experience of them,
Yeah,
and how does it feel, right? Is that
right.
how do you respond to that? How do I know it's really them?
Well, I think you have to set a setting where the person gets out of their head
Mm,
into their heart space and
yeah,
they just trust.
yeah.
Because I've had people who sit there with their arms folded like this and I can't do this. And the most incredible things came through to them. So
Yeah.
it just works.
That makes me think about, Kim Murdoch.
Yeah, Kim.
And she wrote her book too. So I'll be interviewing her book, Feeling Left Behind. She went to the workshop that James Von Prague did, the
Oh,
Saturday thing at Mile High. And
uh-huh.
she's very much in her head. And I love what she said. She said, I told my head to stay in the car because I'm
Yeah,
taking my heart.
I read that. Yeah,
I love that. I thought, what a
yeah.
great way to help us get out of our heads. And so
Yeah, yeah.
it's
This
hard
this
to do.
work will take you out of your head, and if you stay in your head, you're going to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the answers. We can't figure it out in our heads. It's just that
Mm-mm.
monkey mind loop that goes.
Yeah, you can't figure it out.
Yeah,
There's a mystery to it.
yeah. And so dropping into our hearts, which is scary because that's where we feel the pain. But the pain and the joy and the love exist simultaneously, right? Like Cahill Gibran's poem "Joy and Sorrow." You can't have one without the other, and that's
Right.
hard for us to understand because we want to feel good, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's hurry up and feel good instead of.
I think it was Ram Dass who once said that his definition of joy was great ecstasy and also great agony
Yeah, yeah,
produced joy.
yeah. It's hard for people to get. And I know it's been
Hmm.
my big teacher of having lost my father of how to integrate those parts and really has deepened my whole experience of joy. And
Hmm.
and that's part of the grief work that is such a blessing to me.
Right.
And I so appreciate your time this morning. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you might want to share with us before we close?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm getting ready to go do a big funeral, so I
Oh,
probably need to
my
go
goodness.
over and
Yeah.
meet the mortuary. So,
Oh my goodness.
but
Well,
this has been very rich, and so thank you for having me, Patty.
you're welcome. Thank you, Patty, for being
Mhm.
with us. And you're such a light in my life, and I
Mhm.
love you very much. So,
Well, thank you.
and I know you'll take that into the funeral and be the supportive, wonderful person that you are in the world. So,
Mhm.
thank you.
You bet.
All right.
Thank
Take
you for
care.
your work.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Talk to you later.
Okay.